This conference will now be recorded.
चतुर्मुख समारंभम वाग्भटाचार्य मध्यमम अस्मदाचार्य पर्यंतम वंदे गुरु परंपरम रागादिरोगान् सदतानुषक्तान् अशेषकाय प्रसृतान् शेषान् औत्सुक्यमोहारदिदान् जघान यो पूर्ववैद्याय नमोस्तु तस्मै. Namaskaram to all. I think we were discussing about the first three Vegadharana, Adho Vada Rodham, Shagrud Vega Rodham, and Mutra Vega Rodham. Now we have to continue with the management aspect of these three Vega Rodhajanya Vikaras. So I'll just read the previous shlokas. Veganna dharayed Vada Vinmutra Shava Trikshudham Nidrakasa Shramashvasa Jrumbhashru Chardi Redasam. Nidrakasa Shramashvasa Jrumbhashru Chardi Redasam. Adhovadasya Rodhena Gulmodavarta Ruklamaha Vadamutra Shagrut Sanga Drishtyagnivatha Hridgadaha Shagruta Pindigodveshta Pradishyaya Shiroruja Urdhvavayu Parikarto Hridayasyobarodhanam Mukhena Vitpravrittischa Purvoktascha Amayaha Smrutaha Angabhanga Ashmari Vasti Medravangshana Vedanaha Mutrasya Rodhad Purveja Prayo Rogaha. That is what we covered in our previous session. Now, Tad Aushadham Vartyabhyanga Avagahascha Swedanam Vasti Karmacha. Tad Aushadham Vartyabhyanga Avagahascha Swedanam Vasti Karmacha. Tad Aushadham Tesham Aushadham Tesham di Vada Shakrit Mutra Vegarodhajanyanam Vyadhinam Aushadham Vartyabhyanga Avagaha. So we are starting with the one followed by the rest of the events. So here we are starting with one. Vartyabhyanga Avagahascha Swedanam Vasti Karmacha. So that may be a management line or management guideline for Adhovadajanya Rogas. Vartyabhyanga Avagahascha Swedanam Vasti Karmacha. The meaning, I don't think I have to elaborate it. Varti, Bhalavarti, Abhyangam, Avagaham, Swedanam, Vasti Karmacha. Avagaham is a type of Swedanam. Then Swedanam is coming in general. That shows maybe the importance of Avagaham. Avagaha Svedam. Avagaham is a special type of Sveda Kriya, which is more relevant in this desha. In Mutra Krichra Nidanam, we will find that Vasti Shiro Medra Kadi Vrashana Payavaha Ega Sambandhana Prokta Gudasthi Vivarashraya. So in that desham, Gudasthi Vivarashrita Avayavas. Avagaham has got a special importance. That is why it is highlighted apart from the general advice for Svedana. Vasti karma cha. Vasti karma cha. So Varti, Abhyangam, Avagaham, Swedanam, Vasti karma cha. These are general actually. This can be used in all the three conditions what we were discussing. Then Annapanam cha vidbhedi vidrodotheshu yakshmasu. Vidrodotheshu yakshmasu vidbhedi annapanam cha. Additional to what we have seen so far, that means the Vartya, Bhyanga, Vagahascha, Swedanam, Vasti Karma cha. Additionally, you can use Vidbhedi Annapanam in Vidrodhotteshu Yakshmasu. There are many things. If you go through the Dravadravya Vijnaniyam and Annaswarupa Vijnaniyam, you may be able to see many Bhedi, Saram type of Dravyas. Example, Mastu, Yavam, or Palangya. Palangya, it is told Guru, Sara. Then many things could be there. Koshadakya, Avad Gujagau, Bhedinau, Agnideepanau. Then regarding the Brihadi, it is told it is Bhedi, Vadakhanam. So there may be many. So conveniently or appropriately, you have to use Annapanam, which is Vidbhedi. That is an additional intervention suggested in this Vidrodotheshu Yakshmasu. Then Mutrajeshu tu Paneja Prakbhaktam Sasyade Kridam Jirnandigam cha Uttamaya Matraya Yojanadvayam Avapidagamedacha Sapnidam. Mutrajeshu tu Paneja Prakbhaktam Sasyade Kridam Jirnandigam cha Uttamaya Matraya Yojanadvayam Avapidagamedacha Sapnidam. Mutrajeshu means Mutra Rodhotteshu, but it is used as a general term. Mutra Rodham, Mutra Udiranam. It is not specified. Word used is Mutrajeshu. So, does it make any sense? We can think. Then, Pane Prakbhaktam Shasyade Kritam Jirnandigam cha Uttamaya Matraya Yojanadvaya. Edat cha Avapitaga Sapnidam. Edatcha Avapidagam iti Sapnidam. Avapidaga Sapnidam. So this is again an additional suggestion to the Vartyabhyanga Avagahascha Swedanam Vasti Karmacha. This is an additional advice. Here it is told that you do Avapidaga Sapnidam Sneha Prayogam. And an explanation is given for Avapidaga Sapnidam Sneham. What is that? Uttamaya Matraya. Uttamaya Matraya. With one Uttama Matra. Uttama Matra, everybody knows. I'm not going to explain it. Uttama Matra Sneham. Which takes 24 hours to get processed. Yojanadvayam. Yojanadvayam. Yojanadvayam means Dviyojana. Yojana application. Dvayam, two. Then uttamaya matraya yojana dvayam. With one uttama matra, you do two administrations of kritam. With one uttama matra, you give two ghee administrations. Krita prayogam. How? Pragbhaktam shasyade जीर्णान्तिकं च शस्यते. प्राग्भक्तं शस्यते घृतं जीर्णान्तिकं च. उत्तमया मात्रया एकया उत्तमया मात्रया योजनाद्वयं प्राग्भक्तं जीर्णान्तिकं च घृतं शस्यते. एतच्च अवपीडकम् इति संज्ञितम्. So with one uttama matra, you are going to give two administrations of ghee. One is pragbhaktam. Pragbhaktam is annasya prak, just before annam. Presuming that there are two annakalas, this one you are going to give just before the first meal of the day. Pragbhaktam, immediately followed by the first meal. Then wait, and next ghee is given when it is jirnandigam. Jirnandigam. Jirnandigam means soon after jaranam. Once the jaranam is completed, then you give the second yojana of the kritam. So you need to go for a very thorough understanding of the Agni Koshtam of the Adura, and also do some basic calculations and do the Snehapana. What you have to understand is, as there is a Pragbhakta Prayogam, it is associated with Annam. So this cannot be termed as a proper Ananna Snehapanam or Acha Snehapanam. In the first dose, you are associating the administration with the, or clubbing the administration with the Annam. So it is not a purely Acha Snehapanam. So in the first dose, there is ghee as well as Annam. So it will take time for getting processed. Both the stuffs are to be get processed, the kritam as well as the annam. Then once you are convinced that this stuff is processed completely, don't wait for the hunger to appear. Regarding the snehapana, we have certain rules. Hyastane jivar jirna evanne snehocha shuddhaye bhu shamana क्षुद्वदो अनन्नः ब्रह्मणो रसमद्याद्यैः सबक्तः. In Utkleshana Snehapanam, it is something like a Jirnandika Prayoga. Hyastane Jirna Evanne. Hyastane Anne Jirna Eva. Jirna Evanne. In Shamana Prayogam, it is an Ananna Prayoga. Shamana Kshudvadaha Anannaha. It is again an Achavanam. Shamana Kshudvado Anannaha. Whereas Brahmana is Brahmano Rasamadhyadhyaihi Sabhakta. Sabhakta. So there is association with the Annam. So the first dose what we give in our Pidagam is a Brahmana Matra. Not Matra, but Brahmana Prayoga. Because it is as good as Sabhakta. But second dose is Jirnandiga Snehapanam. It is ideal for Shodhana Purva Snehapanam. Ideal for Shodhana Purva Snehapanam. It is a complex situation actually. I do not know how far we are taking these ideas seriously. Because you see, Uttama Matra itself means this is sufficient or this requires 24 hours for getting processed fully. To which we are adding one meal in the morning. So obviously we have to presume that it will take more than 24 hours. So you have to manipulate the concept. That means it will take 24 hours for the one meal plus the ghee what you are giving to get processed completely, not the ghee alone. So it is a Uttama Matra technically because the whole process takes 24 hours. But there is a meal in between. And with the meal, there is a part of the Kritam. So what can be done is take maybe 1/4 of the total dose or 1/3 of the total dose which you have decided to give as Uttama Matra. Give it in the morning. Obviously when the patient is hungry, because it is given along with Anna, so obviously it should be Annagala. Patient should be in his Annagala. No explanation required. So 1/4 or 1/5 or 1/3, whichever you decide, and keep a close eye on the Adura. There will be a stage where the Anna will be getting processed and the ghee will be getting processed. Wait, and the Jirna Visangayam Punarushnodagam Pibed Tenodgar Vishuddhisya Tadasya Laghata Ruchi. Look for all these things. Don't wait beyond that. Don't wait beyond that, because that is the time for the second sneha, which is practically an acha sneha, because it is not associated with any meal. You are giving the krida, jirnandika sneha. So obviously it creates the feeling of a shodhana purva snehapanam, utkleshana snehapanam. Body is going to read it as a utkleshana snehapanam. This is a very complex topic. We have to discuss the entire process of Snehapanam here. Then only we will get it. We can catch up with it. But I am not going to explain all the details, but I will give you some basic idea. When you are giving a Jirnandiga Snehapanam, whatever it is, whenever it is Jirnandigam, one major task given to the Agni is over. But it needs more time to get prepared for the next. So there is a gap. One task is over, rest time, preparation, ready for the next task. So there is a window period in between. That window period is very crucial. Understanding the window period is very crucial. That is what we call as Jirnantikam. When you give something, it need not be Kritam, anything, in that Jirnantika period, your Agni is not receptive. Anything what you're going to do at that point of time, the Agni will read as an assault. Actually, Agni will be hammered with such an assault. And a repeated hammering of that sort will end up in many serious vyadhis. So here, therapeutically, we are making an assault, a hammering on the head of the Agni. And that is how Jirnantika Snehavanam is going to create Utklesha. It is going to get into the system without a proper certification, a no objection certificate, a clearance from somebody who is sitting at the gate or somebody who is sitting at the counter to allow you, okay, you're fine, I accept you can get into the system. Suppose there is a hall with 100 chairs. A show is yet to begin with 100 tickets already given, and people start coming with their tickets. There is a person at the point of entry to check your tickets. He looks at the ticket what you show, verify that it is you, it's a valid ticket, and let you in. And there will be chair waiting for you. Okay, if your token number, ticket number is 33, seat number 33 is vacant, it is waiting for you. So the moment you reach seat number 33, it will be empty and you can sit there and watch the show. But when all the 100 seats are filled, the auditorium is full, another person comes and he makes an assault on the person who is there on the gate, and without his permission he's getting into the hall. He may be in, but there will not be a seat waiting for him because all the seats are occupied. So either he will have to throw somebody else from a seat to get his seat, which is practically impossible, or he will have to roam around in the auditorium, inside the auditorium without seat, and he will never get settled in the auditorium. In the same way, when a sneham which is given in the Jirnantikam is hitting the person waiting at the door and gets into the system, but he will not be entertained by those who are inside. They will not be processed by the Dhatu Agnis. Any stuff, whatever it is, however precious it is, however costly it is, a stuff which is not certified as a valid ticket or person by the checking agency, here Agni, will not be further processed, even touched by the other processing agencies inside called Dhatu Agnis. So that will not be used for Dhatu Parinama or Dhatu Nirmanam, for making Dhatus. It will be stranded inside, wandering here and there, creating all sorts of havoc inside, never getting settled, making the system turbid, producing all sorts of nonsense and nuisance. That will be the situation what is going to happen with a Jirnadika Snehanam. It creates Utklesham. Utklesham is a type of turbidity inside. Being Sneham, it also creates Utkledam. So Utkledam and Utklesham. But it will never be used for Shamanam or Brahmanam. So here our second dose of Sneham is Jirnandikam, that is getting into the system. So this is the way in which you are asked to do a Snehapanam, very peculiar type of Snehapanam in Mutrajeshu. Mutrajeshu, there is no Rodhajeshu, no Udiraneshu, Udiranajeshu. The word is just Mutrajeshu. Whether it is Dharanam or Udiranam, we will find later in this chapter that Tadascha Anegadha Praya Pavano Yat Pragupyadi Annapana Aushadham Tasya Yunjidado Anulomanam. So the prime target in Vega Rodhajanya, Vega Udiranajanya Vikaras is Vayu. In Mutra Rodhajanya and Mutra Udiranajanya Vikaras, Vayu is there. Obviously, we have seen that Vartyabhyanga Avagahascha Swedanam Vasti Karmacha. Then we saw Avagaham specifically explained. So it is something related to the Budasthi Vivarashrayam, Pakvashayam, Apanavayu. All these things are true. But unlike Shagrit and Adhovayu, the Kala and Srodas are different in Mutra. The Kala and Srodas are different in Mutra. Mutra Srodasam Moolam Vrikkau Vapavahanam cha. Sorry, not Mutra Srodasam Moolam. I got it wrong. This Vrikkau is the Moolam of Medo Srodas. Sorry. Vrikkam is the Moolasthanam of Medo Srodas. Also Vapavahanam. This Vrikkam or Vrikkau is to be understood as that marma where the kala which operates in the synthesis of mutra is situated. Vrikka is that avayava which is a marma where this kala which synthesizes the mutra is situated, and that kala is getting affected in mutrajanya vikaras, mutra rodhajanya, mutra dharanajanya or mutra udiranajanya. We find another set of mutra related vyadhis, which is a chapter called that Mutra Krichram and Ashmari, which is a different type of disease. It cannot be taken or cannot be associated with what we see in this Roganutpadiya. Here, because of the progressive Vadakopam, this particular kala is getting affected, by the rukshata, that rukshata from the vrikkam is getting slowly migrated to the medas, which is the connected to the vrikkam by some way or the other, which we have seen that medo vahanam srodasam vrikkau moolam vapavahanam cha. That medas is one target here, whereas one target is pakvasya, that kudasthi vivarashrita pradilomagada vayu with the rukshata. So these two yojanas, that means pragbhaktam and jirnandigamcha, are actually targeting these two sites. With pragbhakta ghritam, you are bringing anulomanam for the apana vayu. With jirnandiga sneham, you are creating some sort of an ulklesham in the body, where the medas, which is badly afflicted, the kledam, which is badly afflicted by the rukshata of vayu, is immediately recharged with the sort of utklesham and utkledam which is getting generated in this procedure. Of course, it is not a safe thing to maintain within the system. But when it touches a target, when it reaches a threshold, it is going to be fatal. That is why this sort of a intervention is suggested. Obviously, this kledam, whenever you make an immediate surge of kledam in the system, that kledam will be taken to the mutravahasrodas, vrukka, and that will be removed through the mutrasya kleda vahanam. So this sort of an utkledanam, what we are generating with this jirnandiga snehapanam is going to irrigate the mutra vahasrotas, including the kala which is situated in the vrukka, thus facilitating the regeneration of that kala. That is how this sort of a specific type of application advised in mutrajeshu. This can be used in both dharanajanya and udiranajanya mutra rogas. That may be the reason why it is not specified as that mutra rodhajeshu or udiraneshu. Mutrajeshu panecha. Previously we saw vidrodhoteshu. Here it is mutrajeshu. So that sort of a snehapanam is very unique and very specific. You can see this yojanadvayam interpreted in a different style by Hemadri. Hemadri says that there are two types of yojanadvayam. There are two types of snehana possible in mutrajeshu vikareshu. One is pragbhaktam. You give pragbhakta ghridam, fine. Or you give a jirnandiga uttama matra snehapanam. So both these can be done. So there is no consensus what is to be done. You won't find any explanation even in Charaka Samhita. You won't find any clear-cut explanation for this. even in Charaka Samhita. So you have to resort on Guru Upadesham and Swanubhavam. Resort on Guru Upadesham and Swanubhavam. There are no other options in this regard. And what Hemadri makes as a comment is, does not seems to be very logical, because the second type of prayoga, that means either Pragbhakta Snehapanam in small dose or Jirnantika Uttama Matra Snehapanam, does not look logical, because without a proper observation you cannot go for an Uttama Matra Snehapanam all of a sudden. So it is not, does not look very practically feasible option. That is one point. Then there are many questions whether this is a Vardhamana Sneha Prayogam or a single dose Sneha Prayogam. Is a Shamana Sneham or Brahmana Sneham? There are many questions. Can be. Ideally, this can be done as a single Prayoga. 1 day application. But it is quite challenging. The reason is very simple, because when you are measuring a Uttama Matra Snehapanam without a proper dharana idea of the Koshtam, Agni, etc. of the Adhura, there is every possibility that you will go wrong. That is one chance. Then on the other side, if you start doing this same exercise repeatedly till you attain that dose of 24 hours, the consecutive mixing up of Pragbhakta, Brahmana Snehana and Jirnantika Acha Snehapana may create an unwanted increase in the Utklesha and accumulation of Kleda, which the already weak Mutravaha Srotas may fail to drain out. So that sort of a risk is there. So ideally, this is to be done as a single dose. But for doing that single dose treatment, you may require very serious, in-depth observation of the patient before starting the intervention. So some primary or preliminary observations and everything we have to make as a preparation. Then only you go for it. In Charaka Samhita, if I am right, there is no clear explanation for the way in which it is done. Vasti mehanayo shulam mutra kritsam siroruja vinamo vangshanana hasyallingam mutra vigrahe svedavagahana sarvishascha avapidagam mutre pradihade kuryad trividham vasti karmacha. That is the note what we see in Charaka Samhita. And you will not find any explanation for that. So Avapidaga Sneham, I would like everybody to practice Avapidaga Sneham, but put your brain into the possibilities deeply and then do. That is a wonderful opportunity. I think I'll complete today's session with that explanation of Avapidakam because it's already almost 9, and really sorry that today the day was a very long day for me. So I think I will conclude here with this explanation of Avapidaka Snehanam. If there is maybe one or two questions we will discuss, otherwise we will call it a day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, definitely. After as you said, after your long day, hectic schedule, still you are finding time for the session. Ashwin sir wants to say something, I think. Vaidya Ashwin?
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
Ashwin.
yes.
Sir, namaste. Sir,
Namaste.
I had a question. Jirnantika Sneha, which trespasses the Jataragni and body cannot accept it as any part of Dhatu anytime in the future. In that case, how that can irrigate the either Mutra Srotas or Kala, sir?
Yeah, see, whenever there is an increase in the status of kledam, whether
Yes.
healthy kledam or unhealthy kledam, it is the under the control of Mutravaha Srotas to remove that kledam from the body, whether it is a pakwa kledam, apakwa kledam, it is a dhadu rupa kledam or malarupa kledam, it doesn't matter as long as ojas is there, which is very important, I repeat, as long as
Yes.
ojas is there, this kleda will be taken to the Mutravaha Srotas and it will be going through whatever processes they are going to happen in the kala, and it will be taken out.
Yes, sir.
So whether it is a healthy kledam or unhealthy kledam is a different question. Whether it is a pakwa kledam or ama kledam again is a different question. Wherever there is an
Okay.
accumulation of kledam and wherever there is ojas, that will be taken through the same route. So that question throws many other points. In conditions like where you get with the modern diagnosis of maybe a renal problem, renal failure or something like that,
Yes.
the
Yes.
the ojas is very crucial. You can go for Avapidaka Snehapanam as long as the ojas is intact. But day by day, you will find that the ojas is also declining, which is going to determine the sadhya sadhyata of the vyadhi.
Yes.
That is very important. So you have to have an eye to observe the rukshada getting developed in the dhadus of a patient with maybe this sort of renal failure, because that rukshada is going to decide the status of ojas. That is very important. But if the ojas is fine, I mean not fine, we do not expect that the ojas will be fully intact, but there is a reasonable stock of ojas seen, then you can look for this Avapidaka Snehapanam in most of the cases of the so-called renal failures.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I will think about it, sir. I have to think a lot
Please,
about
please, please.
before I ask a
Look
question, sir.
into it. Look into it, yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, this Avapidaka Sneha was, it was a question for me for last 15, 20 years. It's still a question which I think I have to think about it for a long time before I get my own. I can get an answer for myself.
Exactly, exactly. I think don't keep it as a question. You do it once, then
Yes, sir. Yes. Hmm.
then I think the questions will be uh,
Yeah, yeah.
actually
I can go
resolved
to
very high.
further before solving the question. Yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
No, no.
So,
Today's
so
class, for this class, I was waiting for last 15 years, I think. No, this is a very helpful and very beneficial class today, sir, for me.
yeah, so look into the points what I
Yes, sir.
proposed.
Yes, sir.
Don't
Yes.
take it as a conclusion, but
Yeah,
what I
no.
am
Yeah,
saying is from my Guru Padesha and from my experience of doing Avapedaka Snehana.
yes, sir.
So you just take it as a proposal and
Yeah.
see and get convinced to yourself. Then there may be fresh ideas also which we can share again. Okay.
Yes, sir. True, true, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Vaidya Ram Manohar has commented, what is the of Mutrava Srota? What if the status of Mutrava Srotas is weak by Vegadharanam?
Yeah, that is again. See, when there is a major issue and there are associated minor issues surrounding it, or each one of these minor issues or the so-called comorbidities is going to make the situation weak, obviously, no doubt at all. But the Vaidya should be uh, well oriented to tackle such situations, whether we can get an entry into the system even if it is weak with a very strategical intervention or not, whether we can prepare the body with something else minor so that this comorbidities will be under control, then we can get into the scene with the original Avapedaka Snehanam. So all these options are open and they are to be explored. Okay.
Yes, definitely, sir. I think we all should think about it, have our own ideas, and as you said, after applying it practically into the patients, then it's clear, I think.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. So I think we will conclude, sir, today.
Yes, yes, yes. Let us conclude.
Yes. Thank you, sir, and thank you,
Okay,
everyone.
okay, okay, okay. Bye.